Why hello again, Commander. In this lesson, you're going to get acquainted with your units and some of the abilities that make them unique. Every unit in Red Alert 3 has some sort of special ability, in addition to its primary ability. The majority of your unit's primary abilities is to attack their targets. A unit's special ability may put a nasty status effect on an enemy, switch to an alternate weapon, or even transform into an entirely different unit.
Let us go over how to use special abilities now. Select that allied cryocopter, if you please. The cryocopter's special ability is the shrink beam. With the cryocopter selected, left-click on its special ability button in the bottom right of your screen, or press the F key. Notice that the shrink beam is a targeted special ability, which means you have to left-click on a target to use it. Other types of special abilities take effect as soon as you press the ability button. Now then, use the shrink beam on my good friend the Soviet Hammer tank.
Wait, what? No way, not me again!
Size.
Melting!
As stated earlier, not all special abilities need to be targeted like the cryocopter's shrink beam. Some abilities cause units to switch weapon modes. Blimey, that tank looks like he's lost control, and all you've got is an allied hydrofoil. Its primary weapon is an anti-air cannon that won't do you any good here. However, if you use its special ability, it'll switch from its gun to the weapon jammer. Select the hydrofoil now and ready the weapon jammer by left-clicking on its special ability button or hitting the F key. Proper. Now, have your hydrofoil fire on that Soviet apocalypse tank on the shore.
Yup. What's up? Yup. What's up? Let's take her out for a cruise.
Ah, so much for that tea party. As you can see, the apocalypse tank can no longer fire. Not so scary now, is he? So remember, even the toughest enemy units may be vulnerable to your lesser units' special abilities. Learn them all and never give up.
If you're finished with your motivational speech, perhaps we can continue? Commander, let's go over a unit whose special ability is to transform. One basic example is the MCV, though let us take a look at a more exciting case in one of the Empire of the Rising Sun's versatile Mecha Tengu units. The Mecha Tengu is an amphibious, hovering anti-infantry unit that can transform into the Jet Tengu, a flying air superiority fighter. Not only does the transform ability affect how it navigates the battlefield, it also means the unit changes from having anti-ground weapons to anti-air weapons. Select the Mecha Tengu and use its special ability. Impressive, no? Now, order your Jet Tengu to destroy that miserable cryocopter. Oh, and don't worry, it is merely a training robot carefully disguised to look like a real vehicle.
No robots are going to get past you, Commander. You should know there are some units at your disposal whose primary ability either isn't a weapon at all, or will change depending on what you tell it to attack. For example, each faction has its own type of engineer unit, like this swarthy fellow over here. Engineers are special units that can capture any enemy structure or neutral tech structure. Much like with moving or attacking, you can select your engineer and right-click on a capturable structure. That'll make him go after it. Look, there seems to be an oil derrick you can capture out in the water. Oil derricks are neutral tech structures that provide additional income. Go get it. Off he goes. Note that engineers are amphibious, so they automatically switch to a keen aquatic form when they get to water. Not all units are amphibious, of course. Notice you can issue capture commands into the fog of war, assuming the structure is still there when you get to it.
Hey, where did that engineer go anyway? Ow!
He went into the structure, you fool, and there he shall remain forever. For that is the way of the engineer.
You may have noticed that when you highlighted that enemy structure with your engineer selected, your cursor changed to a garrison cursor. That garrison cursor indicates a structure you can enter. Your basic infantry can't garrison enemy structures or neutral tech structures like the engineer can, but they can garrison civilian structures such as hotels and houses.
Fear not, for civilians have long since abandoned such structures once they heard we were coming.
When infantry garrison these structures, they receive extra protection, as the building they're in will take damage instead of the units themselves, should they come under fire. Garrisoning your units into civilian structures is a good tactic, both from an offensive and a defensive perspective. It helps to secure locations, force enemies to take an alternate path, or give your units more cover near to your base should the enemy send a force to destroy you. Now garrison that nearby structure by issuing a move order onto it whilst having some peacekeepers selected.
Standing by. Tactical unit.
Good. They're in. And here comes trouble. As you can see, those enemy training robots fired upon the structure rather than directly at your peacekeepers. Watch out though, because each faction has ways of clearing out garrison structures.
The Allies and Empire can try rushing their peacekeepers or Imperial warriors into a garrison structure, while the Soviet conscripts can use their Molotov cocktails.
Of course, you could just blow the structures up if you cannot be bothered by such details.
Now, let's say you need to get your peacekeepers out of the structure. Just select the structure and use the evacuate command, just like using a special ability on a unit. Do this now.
Standing by. Scanning perimeter.
Some of your units can also be garrisoned by your infantry. The multi-gunner IFV is a unique allied vehicle whose weapon takes on the characteristics of whichever infantry unit hops inside. Order one of your peacekeepers into that IFV and watch what happens.
Talk to me. Confirmed.
If I may, normally the IFV's weapon works best against aircraft. But once you garrisoned your peacekeeper into it, it changed into an anti-infantry weapon. While the IFV can only contain one infantry unit at a time, other vehicles can hold more and can transport your infantry around the battlefield. For example, the Riptide ACV is admittedly a good transport for getting infantry quickly and safely from one point to another, although infantry cannot fire out of it. Garrison your remaining infantry into the Riptide now.
Engine's running. I'm good with that.
On alert. En route.
Now that they're garrisoned, let's move your Riptide across this lake and over to the shore on the other side. Look for the marker on the radar.
Sounds all right. Heading to shore. That's 10-4.
Riptides are a special type of unit in that they're amphibious, meaning they can traverse both land and water. As my comrade said, not all units are amphibious, so it's good to make note of the ones that are. Some units behave differently on land and water. For instance, when your Riptide is on water, its torpedo tubes open to give it additional firepower. Now that you've made it to the other side, let's get those peacekeepers out. All transports have the not-so-special ability to evacuate their passengers. Use the evacuate ability now.
What you got cooking?
Dirt naps all around.
Finally, let us discuss contextual attacks. A contextual attack is what you get when your cursor changes to something other than a normal attack cursor. Select the allied commander who has showed up so very unexpectedly.
On my way.
This Agent Tanya has different ways of attacking targets depending on the type of target. When you order her to attack enemy infantry, such as these lifelike robots, your cursor will be that of a normal attack cursor. However, when you highlight an enemy vehicle or structure, you get a demolition cursor. When ordered to demolish a target, Tanya will move very close to the target, set some charges, and blow it up. This is an example of a contextual attack. Go ahead and dispose of those forces using the commando.
No problem. No sweat. ASAP. Hey, you, wait up! Is that it? Just that one? I'm there. Sure thing. Knock, knock. Making way. On my way. Say goodbye.
Other units, such as our allied spies like this one here, also have contextual attacks. Select the spy, then use his contextual attack on one of those enemy training dummies. Now who's the dummy, am I right? As you can see, the spy's primary ability is to disguise himself as the enemy. Alternatively, if you highlight an enemy structure, you can try to infiltrate it to disrupt the enemy's base.
Infiltration has different effects depending on which type of structure is infiltrated. Experiment with all the possibilities. Incidentally, the Empire of the Rising Sun Shinobi unit may also infiltrate structures. Only the tactless Soviets lack an infiltrator.
Oh! But why?
Come on, lads, we have to get through this. Commander, that's the end of this lesson. See you in the next one.
Indeed. Yes, sir. On it like a bonnet.